We'll be covering add, modify, remove table columns, and add, remove new screens and widgets from the Flutter app and backend. So I'm following this GitHub Learn EasyManage repository page where we are putting all the tutorials, and this is our focus in this section. So what I need is we will modify some tables to add a column. Then we'll also add a new table. Then we generate the code, compare the code with the new generated code and sync changes and then apply. So I have here my SQL Workbench open, connecting to the cloud database server. Let's start with applying the changes to the database table and add a new table. So I'm just adding one column. Also, I'm explicitly naming it as an added column so that we verify very easily. So the ERP product table, we have added one new column. And then let's create a kind of copy of ERP product table as a added table, name. So we got these two changes. So remember, this is very often the business requirements that your initial database models and structure changes, and you would very frequently have these kind of changes in early part of building your app, but later on it resolves. But still, nevertheless, it's easy to do, and that's what we're gonna look. So once we added this new column and table, let's go to our Builder Studio and let's verify and import these changes into our EasyManage workspace, Builder Studio workspace. So I'm connecting to my database. It's good to use a qualifier, and then we just have two changes to tables, but let's, select all of them, and I'll select field level list. So let's quickly go to our product table. So product table, and then if I see the columns, I can see this newly added column here. And then also right next to it is our newly added table itself, the new table. So this looks good. Let's import this new schema. Then we will generate code for this new schema. So we will have all the tables and views so that when we are comparing source and want to sync up changes, it is easier that way. So let's go ahead and import. So it's imported. We can go to our Studio Explorer and bookmark the newly imported folder. That's the easiest way. And then we will generate code for the session bookmarks. But if you see there are multiple, folders appearing session bookmarks, you can clear all the previous bookmarks and mark this newly. So right now we have only this folder with current date, so that's good. And we have kept this default, so we'll keep it that way, and we'll generate the code. So remember to make sure the earlier selections which you had, you keep the same. Otherwise, you might get more changes in your source compare, which are not really the real changes. So just a tip on that. So let's go ahead and submit. This will regenerate our new code. So it has increased the generated folder ID. Now we are working with 13450.134. Let's download this build. So 50134. Let's download. I'm going to open in my desktop Explorer from the download folder. So from our earlier tutorial, I do have here my, uh, 50132 extracted zip, which I have renamed as org. And as I'm working on these tutorials, I'm going to incrementally make changes and upload to GitHub in the different tutorial folders. So right now, the new generated folder is 50134 ending. Let's extract all that. So I have extracted this new folder, um, downloaded and extracted here. And in the second folder, I have kept my original, uh, you know, downloaded folder or the previous one you want to sync up with. If you are working on this table, column adds and new table adds often, then just remember to compare with your previous generated code and then go from there. And then before we compare and sync changes, let's go and stop the deployed and running, backend and front end. So let's go to backend. I'll stop running it and also clean it so that we get less files to compare when we are comparing folder to folder. Same thing for the front end. Let's stop. And then also let's use command palette to clean project so that even it will remove packages and build directory. So the comparison of source is faster and it will not, have one side heavy with all this build, artifacts and files. So now we are good to compare and sync. So the first part is backend should be uh, compared, synced, and deployed first and then fronted. That should be the order. So I have opened on the left side the original folder with my project running. This is my GraphQL APIs folder. And when I build the project, I got some more source copied under add-ons and also GraphQL schemas and everything. For backend, there are a couple of ways how you can compare and apply those changes. Uh, if you are, you know, um, little experienced user, let me tell you that way, but we will follow a beginner or easy way. So for someone with some experience, you can always, if you compare the Spring GQL folder here with the new one, you'll have some differences because we use this generated folder ID as a, Spring jar name and all. So under the original project under add-on, we have this ERP product folder because you know that you added a column to ERP product table. You can always compare this folder with the newly generated code under table services, that the folder itself, and then apply those changes. You can ignore the other directories, just concentrate on Spring and Spring GraphQL. And for the newly added table part, this is our newly added table with suffix added table. You can just copy the full folder under table services from the new generated code 134 ending to our uh, previous code 132 ending, and that will take care. But for the initial, users and earlier on, the best way is to use the new generated backend folders and set up the project. Um, you know, Import the Maven project, compile and run. Run is optional, but then after that, you will have equivalent folders on the both side under Spring GQL directory. And then you can just compare these two and apply those changes. So that's the easier way and recommended initially. And as you get more, uh, you know, um, expertise, you can always follow the one I mentioned. So let's, uh, close this previous project. Then we will open our new project. So this is my new project. We'll just uh, compile package. Even we don't need to run and we don't need to apply application.properties file because we're not gonna run the project here. We're just gonna get our project ready and then sync up our original project with the changes in the new code. So this build is successful. Um, then I'm gonna again clean the project because I don't want the target directory having so many things and in the comparison. But then the benefit is I got my all the changed columns or new tables, everything under Spring GQL source add-ons and in this folder. So I'm good now to go. Even I will just close this project just so that I don't, mix up and I have this previous project bookmark. So I'm just even gonna remove this bookmark for the newer one and leaving the one I'm working on. So after this exercise, so we have a comparable folders on both side under GraphQL's Spring GQL project. And just compare that. I use WinMerge tool. You can use the tool you like. And WinMerge allows you to even compare recursively in the subdirectories. You can drill down and apply the changes. Even you can copy the folders if they are missing on one side. So let's get a comparable folder root, Spring GQL. And oh, I selected wrong again. And Spring GQL. So our left side first folder is our original folder where we want to apply the changes. Make sure you're, constantly having that focus. Otherwise, uh, you might, accidentally put something else somewhere. Just for curiosity purpose, I'm going to open POM XML and show you the differences because I said the generated folder numbers are different. Those changes will be there in the POM file here and even in the directory structure it uses. So let's expand our source folder show changes. Idea, we don't need to worry. That's like, you know, cache for your IDE tool. So now again, here also the app is different because there is a new folder number used in the app and we can ignore that part. So let's go under add-ons. First, let's apply our column changes. Now, another thing you want to keep in mind very carefully is what changes you have applied as your own customization even before what EasyManage regenerated code is offering. So don't overwrite that, and that will show as changes. So, as example, I will tell you, we have implemented generated value for ERP product, and then we want to keep that. So never, overwrite and blank it out. So remember what all are your own changes you need anyway. So let's go to the next change. Then this is the product added column. It's highlighting the places where the newly added column is visible. We just sync up these changes. Sync next, sync next, copy left. Left is our original folder. This is newly generated. Copy left. Then here. So as you can see, we have synced all changes except the one we don't want to override because that is something we have implemented and that is desired. So after this is done, uh, from the newly added column, I got them in my project. So I will just save it. Now close this. Don't close the top one, close the source file comparison level so that you can go to the other files. Then the predicate file, product table predicate file, you will need to apply the new columns changes. So I see it here. So I see them. Now they are identical. So I save. Okay. As I can see, those were the changes on the Spring side and Spring GQL. I'll open the controller. Um, and then there is a change because when giving the data mesh call, which is again commented, we give you the expanded list of columns and you could ignore this change, but just for the sake of, comparison, I'm going to take it and then make them identical. So that was for the added column. That's pretty much GraphQL APIs. Even the REST API will be similar change. For the added new column, you just need to change the model and predicate file, controller optional. And then let's see inventory. Let's not even view because we made our local changes to our APIs and this thing that is showing as changes. So as I said, you should remember what, your database table schema got changed and focus on that. But this newly added table is available. It's only on the right side. So we can copy the full folder on the left side by copy left. Are you sure you want to copy? Yes. So once I copy them, that's pretty much the changes on the backend side I need. So I'm gonna close this or rather leave it open. Doesn't matter for now, but let's go and, you know, open our project and then recompile. So I'm able to recompile the project. Let me run the new APIs and just verify those changes are reflected in my API runtime. So I'm going to use the GraphQL Explorer and then let's look at, this is our table, product table, and we can see whether our new product is available. So it is not showing here, and then there is a reason for that because we haven't applied one more place change which we should, and that's where let me go back to our comparison window. So that's why I've left that open, and then under main resources and GraphQL schemas, application properties, we're not gonna look for the changes because those changes are what you need to give for the runtime. So under GraphQL schemas also we need to change. We need to have the new tables, GraphQL schemas copied first thing. Let me do that, copy left. Ask confirmation, yes. And then product schema, let's open that. And let's open the file. And let's see that the newly added column we haven't taken yet into our GraphQL schema file. So let's get those changes, applied on the left side. So and then it's done. So let me save this, close it. Still leave this open. So let's go back, top, clean, and repackage. Even you can double check and sync up your folder. Sometimes, if your systems are slow, the changes made in the, Explorer may not reflect, and it's always good to double confirm. Then package and run. So let's go back to our API Explorer and see if we have it. Now again, it's not there because we need to refresh the schema. So let's refresh our page schema and then see whether it's available. Now it's available, product added column. So even for the last part, if we had refreshed the schema, it won't be available because we hadn't copied the schema file. But now that we have copied the schema files, redeployed or rerun the project, now it's even available and we can select that and run. And same thing, let's verify our new table, newly added tables, APIs are available. So this is our ERP product table and this is ERP product added table, view all page, select where. So that is available. So that's how we make changes to the um, backend for the added column and newly added table. And also if you had changed just the data type of one of the column, those changes also will show and you could have applied those. So that was like backend, applying the changes for the uh, database changes. Now let's close this backend comparison, and now let's look at our front end Flutter app. We can compare and apply those changes. So I'm going to open the Flutter app, folder in the both sides. This is our ending 132, our previous production level code, and this is newly generated code with the added columns and added table. We want to sync up the original with the new one. From the new one, the changes from the new one ending 134. So this is our target ending 132. So let's again open them up in the comparison tool. And So actually, you don't need to even compare the global level. You can just compare the lib and pages folder. Even if you had made some global changes, yeah, sorry again. You need to compare, even lib folder because the menu items are added for the new table, so they are reflected in the nav.dot file, em underscore nav.dot where we have. So it's good to compare the lib folder. But since I have opened the parent level, and if there are any changes in dot ID and all, I'm gonna ignore them anyway, pub specs lock and all. Only the source related changes under lib folder, the root, I mean root lib folder files, and then the individual table level files we can apply. So before we take up the navigation drawer, now changes, let's go to take the column addition first and then the newly added folder. So I'm going to expand my ERP product and I can see there are changes in model, ERP product model dot dot and service call. So let me, and also, yeah, there are changes in display related dart file, drop down, yeah, few places. So we are going to sync up all of that. So although you see many files have changes, you really don't need to get overwhelmed. There are hardly, two, three line changes we can just apply. And this comparison kind of tool, it helps us to, drill down, just apply changes and save them. So make sure you use a tool like WinMerge or whatever you prefer to apply those changes. So I'm just going to go open those files and apply changes. Usually it's a good idea to start with model and service and then work on the other aspects. But it's not essential. So let me just go one by one in the serial order here. I'm gonna open the table name underscore data table dot dart and let's see. So we see there one, two, three, four changes, and then we can go to the next. So this change is just because we give a higher width in the paginated data table, and then the next one is yeah, for the paginated data table. Then this is for sorting in the paginated data table. And again, paginated data table related. So say, so if you're using list view and card view, there won't be much changes in the data table.dart file. Then let's go to drop down. So we see there are one, two, three changes. So the first one is just the declaration of the new column. Then second is the actual text form field for the our new column. Then we have assignment in the model. That's it. Save. Make sure you save. Then they appear green. So as you go further, and even if they don't appear green, don't worry because, for example, if you had made your customization which you didn't want to override, there'll be still red exclamation, but you have taken care of the changes. So always remember, if you had customized your Flutter code for any reason, you don't want to override that with this in this comparison. We just want to look for the changes for the new added columns and apply them. So let's add this as declaration of variable, then the text form field, and then assignment in the model, then save. Okay. Then the next file is filter. Only one small change. So for filter, we don't allow search on the image and other fields, so they will be commented anyway. Then we go to form, input form. Again, we'll have similar to edit form changes. First change, second change, third change. Oops. I shouldn't have applied the second change because I have hidden the product ID because I have customized. So let me close that. See, I was running fast, and so I'm going to close it without saving. Discard all. I'm going to again open the form, and let's go one by one carefully. So we want the declaration of the new variable. The next change is he's saying product ID is missing. Let me give you that. But already I have removed it because we customized our app to not show product ID on the form, but then generate it on the database level. So we will be skipping applying this change. Then the next change is for the newly added column, product added column. So this we will apply. Then let's go next. We will not change any of this because we have customized this part in our, you know, in our tutorial, and we want those changes, but we want the added column to be reflected and then the assignment for it. So let's get that line copied. That's it, and save. So again, as a caution, as I was, running fast and was making mistake, make sure you, so it's a good idea to back up your original folders before even you go through this sync changes exercise. Then the graph doesn't have changes, lib doesn't have, model has because we will, yeah. So let's apply changes to the model. I have opened the file. Let's look for changes. And let's add the changes for the newly added column. So this change I'm not going to apply because we have modified our model for using the database generated key value. So we will ignore this. But we do want to get the newly added column inside our model so that we can save to that column. Commenting, we don't want to, take commenting. We want to use this generated code, but, get the added column here and here. And again, not take this line, which will be part of the comments. So yeah, make sure then save. After model, just apply changes to service call. And then usually the GraphQL boilerplate, we give the calling GraphQL API. So we specify the columns and all those changes will come. Again, in this long string, there will be added a column. Then apply here. And that should do it. So I have changed I have changed the Dart files for my added column to the product table. And then even if we applied the changes for form, it is showing explanation because we want to leave some changes there for a model and form. So second part is the newly added, table pages are available here. They are only right only. Left side doesn't have them. So I can just copy the full folder on the left side. Let me do that. Yes. Okay. After that, we just need to change the, um, screen um, navigation drawer parts for the newly added tables. So these are imports for that. And then these are actually the individual screen level. I mean, screens like input form, list view, and all that. So let's save this. So that should do it, but let's leave it open. Let's go back to our Visual Studio Code and try to compile. So let's get the packages back again. Pubget. So it takes a while, like it got the packages and recompiling. Just be a little patient sometimes. Um, then also, if you had open files and changes, that can cause some, issues. So usually just don't keep the files open here. But now that it has, got the new pubget has run, and then we can see that all code is good. There are no errors, and this new folder is available. And let's run the app and verify those changes from the front end. So let's, I'm just going to use the Chrome build and run, Chrome device. So the app is running. Let's look at our product screen. So product we will confirm with the list view. So with this product added column there, and then if you go to the input form, yeah, you see the added column available here. And let's go to filter, and that it is available in this filter. So let's quickly go to list view, edit one record. Then we add value to our column to make sure the API side is working properly. I'm just going to call it added value and submit. So since it has submitted, our API is also able to understand and work with the newly added column. Also in the product folder, let's say if I search and use contains, so I'm able to query that value. So the column addition uh, drop down drop down and edit also will show that column here. What else? So it is available here. So that newly added column is reflected, and it is, available, it is usable. API side of it is working properly. So let's verify our newly added table itself. Now we are not going to test this too much. This is like just what we generated on the new table and tested it. All the functionality default is available for the newly added table, product added table. And as you can see, we copied it from product, so it has the data and it will have all the options, edit, insert. And remember, we added the column first to the original product table and then made a copy of the table. So even product added column is available in this. So you might wonder why, but that's the reason. So our database change was add the column first, then make a copy. So copy will also have this added column. It's not a magic just there because we did that on the second step. So anyway, all these changes and they're available. They look good. Let's just query product ID and let's also use sort. So backend side has taken care product name sort, descending and product ID accordingly, whatever our criteria it is fetched, more than two. So this newly added, you know, screens for the newly added table are all available. So overall, I would say it's not a much of a difficult task. And initially, first time you might find that there are multiple files to change. But once you get a hang of it, it's easier to do. And then this is usually a lot of times the business requirement that you need to change the column and table, and it's no big deal because then with the new generated code you can just sync in and it will be available as a new feature and functionality. The second part is how to sync up changes to the database, remove kind of changes. For example, if you dropped a column or dropped a table, so rather than doing all that step by step, I'm just going to highlight what needs to be done. Suppose we then again reverse these two changes, like we drop the newly added table and also drop the column. So on the backend side, you would pretty much um, pretty much remove your newly added table fully and from source and in the GraphQL schema. And then you again you can regenerate the code for the applied, or in this case, if we had the original code, we can just compare with that and reverse. But usually you'll have two, one baseline and the second newly generated, and compare and remove. And then you will remove the changes for the drop column, and dropping, as I said, the table is very easy. And on the front end side also, you can follow similar steps. And under the lib folder, you would remove that pages folder for the newly added table, apply changes to your, say, let's say product table columns, and then change the navigation to remove the newly added, uh, like newly removed table in that case. Then that should sync up and you would be able to take care of removing a column or removing a table altogether.